Okay, Extreme Rules just finished. I'm going to say this, and I know there's going to be a lot of people say they don't deserve it. But let's be honest here. If you look at this show, this pay-per-view as it stands, this pay-per-view should have been Extreme Rules. And I'm challenging anyone to contact the Lex Man and tell him, dude, look at Slammiversary and think about it. Isn't this what Extreme Rules should have been? Because this show literally was an Extreme Rules type of show years ago. This is what Extreme Rules used to be. This is what ECW used to be. Now, I'm not saying that they're trying to recapture ECW, but I am saying that they booked this thing 90% properly. With 10% I didn't agree with. But 90% of this show was booked well. So well, it makes the WWE's booking of Extreme Rules not only a joke, but an insult to not only to the fans, but definitely to all the people in the back. That's the wrestlers and the people who set up everything in there. Catering, costume, people who set up everything for everybody like Vince himself. So let's get to the show. The first match of the night, unfortunately, I did not get a chance to see the first 10 to 15 minutes of. Unfortunately, I could not get a proper stream. It kept going in and out. I managed to get one, and Rick Swann was not there because he did have a bad concussion after doing some match somewhere. So I believe he was replaced with Petey Williams, because I do remember that Ishimura was supposed to be in the match, Johnny was supposed to be in the match, and Phoenix was supposed to be in the match. So Petey Williams was the one that replaced him. Okay, no problem. From what I saw, the match was pretty damn good. And in the end, it was the returning Johnny. I'm not saying his full name. Don't ask me why. I don't like to. I just don't think that's a good name for Johnny Mundo. It should have been better if you're going to be doing something between Lucha Underground and Impact Wrestling. Let him use the name Johnny Mundo. I think that would have been better than Johnny. Ugh. It just sounds too cheesy. Honestly, one of the two people I think that should have won should have been either Phoenix or Petey Williams. Particularly over in Canada. You could have gave that to Petey. Or you could have gave it to Phoenix. Yes, I know what happened to his brother, but in the end, you could have done that. That's just how I felt. Now, Allie versus Tessa Blanchard. Now, this was a very surprising match. It wasn't the fact that the video packages were bad between the two. No, the video packages were exactly the same ones we saw this Thursday. They were good. Both of them did a decent job. It was the quality of the match that actually surprised me personally. Allie coming out in a very nice black top, no pink, was alright. But then jumping around like she used to really threw off the look. Look, let's be honest here. Allie is supposed to be now no longer cutesy Allie, but more badass Allie. She doesn't need to be jumping up and down. Particularly, she's not wearing pink anymore. She isn't the cutesy little girly girl Allie. She's supposed to be Cherry Bomb. And her jumping up and down like she used to really threw off the look. And then worse, the match quality from Allie was surprisingly bad. I'm not saying she did a 100% bad job, but Tessa Blanchard looked much better than she did. And you guys know how I feel about Tessa. I'm still not on Tessa's bandwagon. I still don't feel anything from her. There's something missing. When I notice what it is now. When she doesn't need to job, she does a good job. She was doing very well. And Allie was really looking incredibly botchy, or she looked like she didn't really want to do it. It could be me, I could be wrong, but Allie looked botchy. She really did. Tessa looked a lot better. Now, of course you could say, well, Tessa's supposed to look better, she won. No. People can win and still look like crap. And she has won a couple of times. Look over Kiera Hogan. She didn't sell to Kiera Hogan twice. And I know one of my subscribers loves Tessa. I'm sorry, dude. I'm going to call you out on this, because if Tessa Blanchard is not willing to job to Kiera Hogan and doing the right job work, in other words, just to sell the job that she's doing, just to slam her head into the mat, if she's not willing to do that, and she's willing to do it, that means there's something wrong. She doesn't want to job. that makes her a problem. And here you can see it because she was so aggressive over to Allie. I think Allie legitimately botched on purpose. There were some areas in that match she seemed to just botch really bad. And it really made me think that she did that on purpose because something happened in the back that she did not like what was going on. Now, I'm not saying that Allie hasn't botched before. Hell yes, she's botched before. She botched when she was with Blackheart. She was botching. But this one felt like a botch. But that's just me. You guys tell me below. Tessa won. I don't know where they're going to go with this. Maybe they'll continue the feud between the two. We'll find that out. Now, this is a surprise to me personally. But I understand why they did it because of how heavy the show was. Eddie and Tommy was the third match of the night. And at that time, I thought, what the hell? This should be a signature match. It should be near the end of the show. Maybe you should have put LAX versus the OGs here. But after seeing the other matches, I understand why they did it. Even though this was one of the strongest types of feuds they had, there was no way they're going to be able to put Eddie and Tommy in the later slots. It was just not possible. It just wasn't. So we get this match with a good vid pack that's been building up for the last couple of months. They show what happened with him and Sami, and that's Eddie. We saw what happened with Tommy and Eddie. We saw what happened with Eddie a little bit with Alicia. We saw the beatings. Everything was laid out for you to look at. And the match itself was very good. It was a House of Hardcore match. Very good match. It wasn't an amazing match, but it was a good one. We're still talking about a Tommy Dreamer who's my age. In a few days, I will be 47 years old. Tommy's nearly 50. I think he's about 48 years old, I believe, nearing 49. So he's in my age bracket. And for me, I understand. He slowed down a little bit because he is nearly 50. He's not going to be able to do the job he used to. Eddie's doing a good job. But here's the thing that got, no, two things that got me. One, the first one was that Alicia was not out there from the get-go. She should have been out there. That would have made this much more personal. That I think the match really needed. The match needed to be more personal, and Alicia should have been out there from the very beginning. Then, throughout the match, and this isn't the critique of it. The ending of the match is the critique I have, a slight critique. But throughout the match, you got a lot of headshots. You got a lot of violence. Which the crowd, and I got to say this, the crowd throughout the night wasn't a big crowd. But the crowd was hype enough that it made the show very enjoyable. And there was a lot of going on in that match. That match was, like I said, a pretty good match. In the end, Eddie Edwards does win. But at the end of the match, Eddie starts crying. Why? He supposedly starts sobbing and crying in the ring. Tommy is not liking it. Tommy is not having it. He wants to knock his head off. But then Alicia comes out. And she's saying, it's over. It's over. Let it go. It's over. And then Tommy does something that I think is not the wisest thing to do. It should not be done with Eddie. He hands him the kendo stick. Basically, the guys on the mic are pretty much telling, look, Don and Josh were trying their best to hype up this moment, saying that Tommy's passing the torch to Eddie Edwards as now the new innovator of violence. And to be honest, I'm not buying it. Look, this story has culminated here at Slammiversary. They made one major mistake in not letting Alyssa be there from the very get-go. And I'm not saying the match was bad. It was a good match. Admittedly, it would have been better if there wasn't such a heavy emphasis on the rest of the show. Let's be honest. There was no way this match was going to be better than the rest of the matches on the card. And it was a good match. But there was no way it was going to be able to match the others. It just wasn't. It's just a very good match. But saying that Eddie Edwards is new innovator of violence, honestly, that should go to Sami Callihan. His personality is a lot more vicious than Eddie Edwards. I'm being honest here. I like Eddie. I do. But if you're going to say the next innovator of violence, the next person that can take McFoley's position and can take Tommy Dreamer's position, is it Eddie Edwards? I just don't buy it. A Sami Callihan is more of the next step than an Eddie. The entire thing got started because Sami was stupid enough to hit Eddie in the eye. Now, I know that can mean that Eddie could still have momentum and could become a true innovator of violence. But as it stands right now, even though he's good, he just doesn't have it for me personally. It's Sami. I just don't see it any other way than that. But I could easily change my mind. And I want to change my mind, but this is just me. You guys tell me below. Next, there is the, Brian Cage versus Matt Sydal. Now I gotta say this. Matt Sydal does good promos. And his his promo he did was good. I did enjoy it. The vid pack was good. Now here's the thing that I noticed. Not in the match, but here. I'm about to say Sami. When it comes to Brian Cage, they avoid having him talk at all, which I think is a very good thing. If he's not a very good talker, make him not talk at all. Let him just be a badass and destroy. And that's what I think is missing in wrestling these days. If a wrestler really is a really bad talker, or if you're going to do a persona of someone as such an amazingly destructive force, he needs no vid packages, no promos, no interviews. You just show him and that's it. So that is what I took away from the vid packs that he showed with Matt Sydal. Now the match itself was actually good. Oh my goodness, that was a good match. It was a very good match. You see Matt Sydal work with a guy in a Brian Cage who I feel, who is he compared to? It's hard to compare Brian Cage to somebody. He's a very large guy who is very, very agile. The only person I come up with is Apollo Crews. Now, Apollo Crews, for his size, is extremely agile. But Apollo is going to be a midget compared to this guy. So he's the only one I can compare him to. But to be honest, there's got to be another person that you can compare Brian Cage to that is incredibly agile and very strong. And I can't say The Undertaker and I can't say Kane in their heyday. It doesn't seem right. Because he's more agile than they are. I don't know anyone who has that much agility. But in the end, after most of the match, and it was really good, especially several of those kicks to the face to Matt Sydal. Several of those flips that Matt Sydal did on Brian Cage, flipping him around and making him just use his own strength against him was very good. But in the end, Matt Sydal lost and Brian Cage wins the new, well, not new, but the X Division Championship. And now as the new owner of the X Division Championship, does this mean they're going to promote the title more? Because we have no mid-card title. If Brian Cage is now a monster force, he must be put into the mid-card with the X Division title as the mid-card title. If this is what it's going to be, it's perfect. You don't just use the small guys anymore. You use anyone who's in the company to go for the X Division like it used to be with Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Brian Kidman, Kazarian, Joe Lethal. You can say Robbie E. I don't care. Even the freaking Abyss. I don't care. You need a mid-card title. The X Division is the mid-card title now. Make anybody go for it. Because now you have a monster who is incredibly agile that can make it work. Now, why not? Su Yung versus Madison Rayne. Now, I said in my last Impact review that this is on Madison. Madison had to deliver here. I think a lot more than Su Yung had to deliver. If Su Yung was botchy and not so good, it was understandable. She's only been in the company for a while. But Madison Rayne has been known in this company for many years. She's held the title 5 times. She had to deliver here. And I will say this. Well, before I get to that. The opening with the undead brides, with that casket and Su Yung coming out of it was actually very good. I did enjoy it. The match quality itself was, I'm not going to say this match sucked. It didn't. But because of what happened beforehand with Eddie Edwards and Tommy Dreamer, it was a hard, that was a hard match to follow. No matter what they did, it was going to be a hard match. And let's not get it twisted. It wasn't a bad match at all. I will say Su Yung looked good, getting her ass kicked, and Su Yung looked good, beating up Madison Rayne. Seeing only 2 undead brides, excuse me, seeing 2 undead brides was good. They didn't bring them all out. Even though there were 4 all the way up the ramp, only sent 2 down, which was good to me personally. The way she won was the best way to win. I won't say Madison Rayne didn't give some good good offense. She did a couple of good, she did one good, no, she didn't do a Shining Wizard, but she did a lot of suplexes. She did do a Northern Light suplex, which looked very good. I won't lie about that. She was very rough with her. And, you know, one critique I will say about it, next to the ending, but I will say, seeing the mandible claw be the reason she won was perfect. She didn't just pin her. She literally choked and she mandible clawed her. And then once she won and Madison Rayne was passed out, she put the damn thing in her mouth. It's in my face. If I have that picture, I gotta have that picture. I'm sure I got it. It was beautiful to see that she stuck it down her own throat and licking Madison Rayne spit out of her own glove. That showed how crazy she was. Now, I want to say this very clearly. I had no problem with Su Yung winning, and I had no problem with Madison Rayne winning. Either one of them winning was fine. If Madison Rayne won, it would have been a way better build than we ever saw with Gail Kim, because Gail Kim's builds always sucked because they always overbooked her. Here, Madison Rayne was booked properly, and I didn't have a problem with her winning, even though she is a generic face. Su Yung winning, like I said months ago, if Madison Rayne was going to be put up against Su Yung and she loses, it will legitimize Su Yung and dislegitimize Su Yung. Now, this is the only critique I would have. What was the problem for me personally was that Josh Matthews was at ringside. He sees his wife being dragged, well not dragged, picked up and put into the casket. I think what would have been a better thing, and I know he was a commentator, he could have got up and ran over to his wife. I know guys and girls are going to say, dude, that's stupid. No. In actuality, it would give another layer, because she talked a lot about her daughter and how proud she was. But let's be honest. Yes, her husband is a commentator. He always separates everything. But I think he could have broke character once and go there and act like a face just once for his wife. And I think that would have given us another layer, particularly once Su Yung kicked his head off. And that would have made this even more interesting and personal, because I don't believe this is over yet between Su Yung and Madison Rayne. I think it would be more interesting if Madison Rayne recovers, see that her husband went to check on her, and Su Yung kicked her head off. And then we see a more aggressive Madison Rayne saying, no one hurts my husband. That is what we needed. That's just what I felt could have been added in another layer. Now, LAX versus the OG in a 51 Street fit. Well, it looked like a 51 Street fit. Well, why am I botching about it? I know why. Because it didn't say it was about the titles. A 51-50 Street fight for the titles. I didn't hear them say it. Now, maybe the advertisement said it was for the titles, but they didn't say it last Thursday. I didn't hear them say it. Maybe I did miss it because it was hot in here. But I didn't hear that. That's the only general critique I have. But in this situation, sorry, my leg was itching. But in this situation with this match, this was the second best match of the night. At first, I thought this was going to be the best match of the night. But when I saw the other matches, I had to change my mind. This was the second best match of the night. It was so well done. Seeing Ortiz, Santana deliberately getting their ass destroyed. I admit I didn't like the face paint. I didn't like the face paint. I thought that was stupid. I admit that. The face paint was stupid. Ghost dog, I can understand the ghost dog type of effect. Where the K-Dog's ghost dogs. I think that's the right name to call them. But I think they didn't need to paint. It just made them look out of character. Having face paint. The bandanas wrapped around their faces and kept it until someone pulled it off them. Yes, that would have made more sense. They are thugs. They are from my territory of New York. We don't wear face paint. We wear bandanas over our faces and we kick some ass. And that's what I felt like was one of the major problems. Well, not the major problems, the major problem. That face paint. But everything else was good. Ortiz looked very good. Santana looked very good. Admittedly, when it came to Hernandez, he looked like he was confused at certain points. You guys tell me below if you believe he looked confused, because it wasn't like he was totally out of his mind, but it was like he was forgetting where his cues were. And he was walking back and forth a little confused. Hopefully he didn't actually get concussed, because that was a rough-ass match. They were not kidding. They were trying to beat the living fuck out of each other. The only one that didn't get any type of harm generally was King. King barely even got touched. And of course, K-Dog, Konnan himself didn't get touched, at least until the end of the match. Well, I really did want the OGs to win. But this easily makes up for it. Because once the new LAX won and retained the titles, the OGs kicked their asses straight. There was no match, nothing. They just beat the crap out of them. And then they grabbed themselves a K-Dog, smacked them in the face, threw him onto the thumbtacks that, Santana had laid on. And I think Santana might have cut his wrist pretty badly. Hopefully he's all right. I think I got a picture of it in my face, because he was really grabbing his wrist. I don't think I got it. The most I probably got is the blood in the face. But if I do have it, I'll show it. But Konnan got his butt kicked a little bit, thrown into the thumbtacks, and they grabbed the titles, spray painted them, and they took them away. That is what we do in New York. We don't fuck around. You piss us off, we'll grab, you beat our ass, we'll come back, we'll mess with you again, we'll grab your shit, and then we'll take it. And then we start it up all over again, if you're going to be in that respect. But in the end, this is how it should end. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are not going to like it, but actually I think it's the best way to go. Particularly if you drag this to Bound for Glory, which I kind of hope they would. And they do a match that, and I'm stating this now, the best match for the OGs versus LAX is a match for one group to leave permanently and to have the name of LAX. That is the match I believe they need to do. Now, the best match of the night. My watch stopped, sorry. The best match of the night. Hands down, this match of the night was the best. Oh my goodness. When I saw this match, I realized this is what the WWE should have done. These are the matches that the WWE should have had in Extreme Rules. This is when I realized it. I realized it seeing this match. This is when they should have realized they fucked up really badly. And that is hair versus mask. Pentagon Jr. versus Sami Callihan. They started out kicking one another in the freaking faces. And then kicking one another in the freaking face. And then smacking each other in the chest. Sami Callihan was wearing like a clip vest. He opened that bitch up and he said, "Come on, hit me!" He smacked him in the chest and he went down on the floor like, "Oh, bitch, I hate you." That was the best match of the night. They were going back and forth. I don't think they got like, what do you call it? They worked 10 pins. Don Callis was saying that those were railroad ties. That's the spikes they use to be able to hold down the wood for the track. No, hold down the rails for the track, if I'm pronouncing it right. But it actually looked like they were tent post nails, and they used them to cut each other in the head. They were not kidding. At one point, each one of them were jabbing each other in the head with it. And it's probably my face. Eventually, at one point, Pentagon Jr. took the back of Sami Callihan, put one of those tent nails to hold down the tent on his head, and he hit that sucker. Even if it didn't make him bleed, that thing sounded so loud. Everybody cringed in that arena. It was awesome. In the end, next to the Chris brothers coming out to try and stop the thing, the one thing that was really good was once Sami used some, like baby powder in Pentagon Jr.'s face, the ref literally was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I've always wanted to say this. I kept forgetting. The ref's name is Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo. I am always after some women. Look at my pecs, baby. He's in my face. He's in my face. Now he's gone. And the ref got his arm broken for his trouble. Pentagon Jr. couldn't tell who was who because of that powder in his face, and he broke his arm. That was well done. Eventually, Sami was getting his arm broke, which he didn't get his arm broke because he didn't sell it. That messed everything up for me personally. He should have sold that he got his arm messed up once he lost the match. Once Pentagon supposedly snapped and crackled his arm, he was supposed to act like he couldn't use it, but he kept using it. And that ruined it for me a little bit. Not saying Sami did a bad job. He did great, but that one little small detail, that was a mess up. But in the end, Sami tried to escape. Phoenix stops him. He grabs him, knocks him to the floor, and then they shaved the shit out of his head. I think the crowd was right. If they had shaved not only Sami's head, but Sami's beard, that would have been awesome. He looked like a skinhead. And I'm not against people who go totally shaven. There's nothing wrong with that. But it would have been funny, and it would have been even more substantial to see that they're listening to the crowd. But in the end, that was it. That was the best match of the night, hands down. I am so sure that anyone from the WWE, if they saw that match, they would be so freaking embarrassed at Extreme Rules, and they need to do something good for SummerSlam. This destroyed Extreme Rules. Just up to this point, it got destroyed. Now, final match of the night. Moose versus Austin Aries. And I forgot the guy's name. Carl. He's from the Toronto Blue Jays. He is a 3-time All-Star. I forgot his name. Cultus, I believe his name is. And he was the one that was... He just wanted to be there. Okay, fine. Then you got the match between Moose and Austin Aries. And that was a good-ass match. I think that was the best match I've ever seen for Moose. Really. I mean, he had some good matches with Alberto El Patron. He's got some good matches with Eli Drake. But I think this was the best match he's done to date with Austin Aries. It just was a good damn match for him. I'm not saying that it was an outstandingly good match for both of them. It was a good match. After what we just saw with the hair versus mask match, there was no way they can outdo it. So I didn't expect this to go over the top. But I expected it to at least be good, and it was good. Seeing that Austin Aries kept trying to smack Moose in the chest, saying, "Here, take this, take it," and Moose is just going, "That's all you got?" And then when Moose started smacking the hell out of Austin, he just started crying like a baby. But I will say that in the beginning of that match, Austin punked out Moose more than a few times. Fortunately, I don't think I got the shot of him laying onto the top turnbuckle like he normally does. His signature just relaxing like this. But I can tell you that I did enjoy that match. But I do believe I was right. When this match was all said and done, it was Austin Aries who managed to retain. And I did say that it would be better for Moose to get that title at Bound for Glory, at the signature pay-per-view. I truly believe Moose deserves it. Not here at Slammiversary, but at the most greatest pay-per-view they've ever had. Not Slammiversary, but Bound for Glory. Now, I could be wrong, and now Moose is about to be dropped. And I'm hoping they're not going to, but the way the writing team has been lately, I don't think they're going to drop Moose. They may put him in some feuds that may not be great, but I think by the time of Bound for Glory coming around, he will be going after that title again, and I do believe they'll give it to him. I truly believe this was not the right time for him. So by seeing that they decided not to give it to him yet, I believe they're going to give it to him at Bound for Glory, where he will truly get the proper shine he deserves. But it's just me. Overall, was this show good, dude? This show kicked WWE's ass. It destroyed Extreme Rules. It could have been Extreme Rules, and the WWE would have so many people happy if they'd only done the right things. But they didn't then. So this show made Extreme Rules look like crap. But this is my point of view. You guys tell me below. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.